Good evening, everyone. This is the meeting of the District Advisory Building Committee and the Building Level Advisory Committee. It is 6 o'clock, 6:01 on November 9th, and we are just going to give people a moment to join us so that we hopefully have critical mass. I'm Emily Figdor. I'm one of the co-chairs of this committee and a member of the school board, and thanks so much for joining us. And let's just give folks a minute and then we'll get started. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So again, this is a joint meeting of the DABC and the BLAC, the building committees that are overseeing the building for our future projects. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. We are going to get started tonight. Tonight is really, I think we have a lot of new information. We don't have any agenda items to vote on tonight, so it's really catching everyone up with where we're at on the 3 remaining projects and taking a look at the budget as we get to the final stages of these projects. And then we do have some minutes from our previous meetings to consider. I'm going to wait till the end of the meeting to see if we have a quorum in order to take votes on those minutes. So with that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Mark.
Great. Mark. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Emily, and welcome everyone. It's been a little while since we met, so we've got some updates just in terms of where they are on the progress of the projects, and as Emily said, some kind of updates on where we are with the budgets for the 3 schools. So we have Tamara and Dave Lewis as well that can assist in answering some of the pointed questions. Particularly, Dave Lewis has done a great job, as we've said in the past, tracking expenditures on the project and where they are relative to the budgets. And so Dave has the magical spreadsheet that keeps track of all of that. So we'll go through just construction updates on the 3 projects. Contingency update. We received some pricing on the furniture, so we'll share what we know of that at the present time and kind of where we are in that process. And then we'll just talk about next steps. And we've saved the approval of the meeting minutes to the tail end here, so we may get a few more folks joining on. So in terms of the construction update, things are winding down at nearly all 3 projects here, but at Longfellow, really the little bit of exterior work that's going on right now, but very, very minimal. We did a punch list, which is that we walk around and observe all the construction, and we write down a list of anything we think is still outstanding for the contractor to finish up. And so that punch list occurred on the in phase 2C, which was the elevator, and the exterior cladding of the elevator. So that punch list occurred yesterday. And then the addition of the kindergarten, or on the end of the kindergarten wing with those spaces. We also did the exterior punch list of that yesterday as well. And the second floor, which we had all put 2 phases together into that one single phase, that was all done prior to the start of school, in August 25th. And being occupied. So that's kind of a quick update on that. Phase 6 was the lower level in the library wing, if you will, of Longfellow, with the corridor and some of the fire alarm upgrades and ceiling and lighting. So that also finished up right at the end of the summer as well. The last phase was the site work, and we're happy to report that the modular classrooms, otherwise known as the portables, are gone off the site. The upper parking lot is now back to full use for the school, and we have a little bit of work left in some of the landscaping areas, but we did a punch list of all of that yesterday as well. So right now the contractor is mostly just finishing up some of those punch list items and closeout documents for the project for Longfellow. Just a little bit of kind of an overview visually of everything. So the large image to left-hand side is sort of that square on to the back, to a little closer detail of the addition to the kindergarten wing. So you can see it in that center, upper center. That's the addition right there that we're looking at. You can see the retaining wall in the courtyard there to give you some context. And so that's the end of the hallway with stairs that come down to that lower area. The side of that, so as you look to this side right here, is this portion right here. So you can see the existing building and then the stair that separates the new addition with the existing and that brickwork that's all been completed to that point. At this point, they were still finishing some of that fascia around the bump out and some of the guardrail and some of the landscaping. So that walkway has now been, for the most part, completed down to that lower area. And then this was a front entry and ramp. That's temporary protection at that point. But again, that has been, for the most part, all cleaned up and completed. So I'll pause for a second if there are any questions on Longfellow. Okay. With respect to Reiki, we received preliminary pricing back. So some of you may be aware there was a section of the concrete beam that was above the old entryway at the brickworks, and where that ramp had been removed that came off of bracket. And so that area has been temporarily shored. It was there's some damage to the concrete itself. And so that pricing, and we'll review what that is in a minute here, but that's been received. It was a little bit of an effort trying to get that from the contractor. And with respect to the rest of it, they're finishing up some of the art and music rooms on the second floor. And then on the first floor, the community police area, which is over near where the kitchen is off of the cafeteria, that is underway. And we have completed a punch list in that area. One of the areas that we also did, as we've met with, now that they've moved in, the administration has some requests for some modifications to their area, and we've met with them to look at ways that we can accommodate some of those changes as well. So Charlie was involved in that, as well as Herman, to meet with the staff. And then site work has been underway on Brackett Street at the new entrance, and most of that's been kind of, I think, settled up. I went by last week and saw a good amount of progress in that area, and you'll see some of it here. And so the large image on the left is the new conference room and office area addition, and the canopy over the main entrance. And then the center area, you can see where that concrete issue was, a damaged beam right there. And so that's the zone or area that's being worked on again. But the stair tower has been completed on the right-hand side of that. You can see some of the seating benches at the entrance on the sidewalk on Brackett into the new entrance. And then inside the art room, you can see some of the progress, again, finishing up just the last minute touch-ups in that, and some of the work in the corridor as well. So coming along nicely there. I'll pause again if there are any questions on Reiki.
Mark, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
I know we'll get, of course, that we got the estimate for fixing the damaged concrete beam. I'm wondering, what is the timeline for making, for working on that part of the project?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I think at some point there was some concern about what its impact would be to the operations of the school. Dave, I don't know what the latest conversation was with Hardy Pond in terms of when they could accommodate that work.
Well, as it is right now, it is scheduled for summer after school is out. We are working with Hardy Pond to identify some options for getting it done prior to that. The shoring itself, the engineering shop drawings for that were just submitted, so that should be happening in the very near future. And then the work itself it's going to be noisy and kind of invasive. So Hardy Pond was initially reluctant to try to do it during school, during a time when school is in session. But once their superintendent is back next week, we're going to see if we can find ways to move that along. So the short answer is currently it's scheduled for summer. We're working to see how we can, if we can speed that up a little bit.
Is there a possibility to do it over either the December break or the February break?
I think part of the concern is just the duration of the work. I don't think it's a 1 week process, and to do it during school during the winter months, they'll have to create insulated enclosure on either side of the work and heat it, which would be presumably additional costs that were not carried in their estimate.
Okay, and I think my last question is, if we do have to wait until the summer, are we confident that they'll come back and finish this portion of the project?
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If they weren't willing to do it, they wouldn't have priced it.
Jeremy,
we have a fixed cost for them to do the work, so they have agreed to do the work for an amount of money, and as soon as we sign that, then they will be under contract to get the work done.
Yeah, and that change order proposal was approved, so they are proceeding with planning for the work.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Jeremy, please go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So does it impair use of the building?
No, it doesn't impair use of the building. That area is just directly above what was that entrance area. So we're going to seal that area off. I think it's already, there were animals in front of it the last time I looked at the picture of it. So some large giraffes or something. And so, but no, the school building is entirely useful.
Yeah. Good. Thanks.
Great. Okay. Well, move on to Presumpscot. So Presumpscot has been done for a while now, and there's a couple issues that we're still continuing to track. One, I think most of you are aware, is we've got some flooring failures, as Principal Taylor can attest to and having to deal with. And so we issued a formal letter of rejection of the flooring installation in September. We've had a lot of cooperation by the contractor, though, so they are working diligently with the flooring subcontractor to identify exactly the reason for the failure of the rubber tile and why it's cupping at its seams and not adhering the way we anticipated it would. And there's kind of two separate issues. One is in the new construction, where we have brand new floor slabs, and we're putting that material down. And then we also have seen a little bit of some failures in the existing, but not quite to the extent we've seen in the new work. And so so that work is ongoing. There have been multiple experts brought in to assist in trying to determine what exactly is going on. And so we don't have anything definitive to report yet, but we're working through that as well. And then the other aspect is sort of, we've been trying to look at how we can modify some of the operation of the air handling unit. There's called an economizer mode that allows us to bring in cool air in the shoulder seasons, so that we can actually cool off the building a little bit more when the temperature cools off at night. So we're certainly past that point now, but in those shoulder seasons, when they can get a little warm inside the building, there's an opportunity to use that economizer cycle to do that. So that's one thing there. The other thing we're doing is the site work. There's a couple areas, two things that we're looking at carefully. One is the grass that was planted and how it's coming in, or how we would like it to come in. It's not quite taking the way we had hoped. So we were out yesterday and took some samples. and we are shipping those off to a lab for analysis to understand exactly what the composition of that soil is. Does it have enough organics in it? And so that'll help us identify what we need to do. Most of that will likely translate into some recommendations for dressing in the spring. So we'll see how that information comes back, and to address that issue. The other one that we've had is near the playground. We've had some drainage issues, and we've got a solution for that. And we've, I believe we have the pricing in for that, David Lewis, on camera.
Yes, we do.
All right. And so that is an issue that we're going to address. The issue is that we don't have that much in the way of contingency. As you remember, we pretty much were pretty close to zeroing out the contingency at Presumpscot. So just an area that we're going to look at other line items within the Presumpscot budget to be able to fund the issue of that drainage near the playgrounds. So with that, just again an update on what the final outcome of the building is. So you can see the entrance on the left-hand side of the images here. You can see the sort of spotty grass regrowth, and that's the area that I just spoke of that we're analyzing. Playground, this is again where we're starting to see that water sheeting off pretty quickly, and it's actually washing out some of the play area. So that's the piece that we're looking at. How do we slow down some of that flow of water and protect that area? The pre-K K-wing, that's the sort of courtyard right outside, directly outside of those pre-K classrooms, and then just an overall view of the rear addition to the building itself. So you can see the music and art addition, and then behind it you can see the cafeteria addition. And I will pause. Okay. Contingency update and budget snapshot. And so I'll start the conversation, and certainly, as I said, Dave Lewis is the man with the numbers, and so he can provide us a little more detail. But right now, with Longfellow, we have about 143,000 in the contingency fund, but we are reviewing another $40,000 of changes, either under review or have been, some of those have been approved. So with those, we're right now looking at about $100,000 of contingency in that project. And as stated, we're nearly complete all of the work, so we don't anticipate further changes in from the contractor other than what we've already received, with the exception of we're looking at adding some operable windows into, so the design called for fixed windows in some of those classrooms, and we're looking to change out some of those with operable windows, and so we're getting pricing on that, and we'll look to add that back in should we have sufficient funds to do so. Similar issue with Presumpscot, but we'll address that in a minute here. I'll pause for a second. Okay. Let's see here. So then on Reiki, right now we had 185,000 in the contingency. This says we've got $3,000 under review. However, that doesn't take into account the 171,000 that we did receive on pricing for that repair of the concrete above the brickworks, so that entrance. So that is going to use up a fairly significant amount of that remaining contingency. But it's one of those where we think, again, that at Reiki, we're nearing the conclusion of that work as well. And so I'm not sure we're going to need to use more funds than what we have set aside for the contingency there.
Yeah, let me jump in on this one just a bit. A previous change order that was approved added the shoring for the the concrete waffle slab repairs. That was approved in a previous change order, and as of today, we had approved the concrete repairs, that $171,000 line item. And I just want to note that both of those are able to be funded from within the existing Reiki contingency. So we're not looking at needing to reallocate funds from any line item with either within Reiki or from another project. If you remember a couple of months ago, I think it was, we reallocated money from some budget surpluses within the Reiki overall budget to boost the contingency, anticipating that the concrete repairs would be rather expensive. And they are, but they're funded from within the existing contingency, and still leaving a little bit left over for whatever other unknowns may come up over the next few weeks.
And I think, Dave, the total of the shoring number, I want to say it was 27,000 or
no, trying to look at
my
little notes here. No, it was 23. It was just a hair under $24,000.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So that total value, adding that to the 171, is just under the 200,000 for that repair.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Presumpscot, as I mentioned, we had just a little bit under 5,000, but the drainage to the playground is right now priced at 21,000, and operable windows are at 44. So those two items right now certainly can't be funded out of the remaining contingency funds, but we'll take a little further look at what are available for funds in a minute here with regard to the surplus at the end of the project here. So,
and just to maybe give away what we're going to get to, but we will have the funding to do both sets of revisions here. So
yes,
I don't
absolutely.
I don't want us worrying as we're going through this that we won't be able to make these two fixes. So we'll get to it, but we will be able to fit them within the budget.
Indeed. So I think that probably brings us right to our next topic, which is the furniture update. So as you all know, I believe we had assembled furniture bids based on budget line items that we had for each of the schools, and meeting with the administration for the three schools and going through and developing that list of where their priorities are. We put that project out to bid, or the city's purchasing department put that out to bid, advertised it, received, you can see here we had 6 bidders, and so that are identified in the table at the bottom of this slide. But before I get to that, so the budget numbers that we were carrying in the total project budgets amounted to the 133 for Longfellow, 128 for Presumpscot, and the 254 for Reiki, totaling $516,000. And those were going back a little ways. We had prorated all those based on the enrollments at each of the three schools, and the available funds that we had allocated for furniture after accommodating some of the other line items in the budgets that we've been carefully tracking. So the total of 516 is what we're kind of looking at. The pricing came in that you can see at the very bottom line, the pricing across all 6 bids, anywhere from a high of $487,000 on the far right to a low of $258,000 in quality specialty products. So those are the numbers that we're comparing with the 516. Clearly, there's a difference in sort of the bids if one of them is a little not quite. It's a little more than half of what the low is. A little more than half of the high one, but sometimes competition is a good thing and drives prices down. However, what we are doing right now is evaluating the quality of what was submitted for furniture for the low bidders and to confirm that what we are getting meets the requirements for durability and functionality that we expect of the bid, and what we anticipated when we put the bid specifications together. That process is, like I said, is ongoing right now. We hope that have that wrapped up here in a very short period of time, in the next couple of days, and we'll know a little bit better. But even if we go to the second low bid, and you can actually see the second, it's very, very close between the second and third bidders, but it's about $386,000. That 386 is still significantly below the 516,000 that we had originally priced, and so you can see that's about 140,000 if my math is not quite 100, I guess 130,000. So that 130,000 is funds that as co-chair Figdor said, we can use that to fund some of these things that, so for instance, those operable windows at Presumpta or things like that. So that's kind of good news in a lot of fronts. So we will be able to get the furniture, and we are able to get it under budget.
I saw Aura. I believe you put your hand up for a second. Did you still have a question?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was answered, but thank you. Mark, I guess I was just looking at, so am I right in, these are bids, so we really have to stay within one of the companies, whatever, for doing all schools together? like there isn't the ability to is that kind of the process to understand how that works?
Yeah, that's likely the way that they bid it too. Okay. So we will look at the aggregate total and not necessarily select low from each line item that they bid. They did provide the breakdown of the pricing, but they bid a lump sum total for all three.
Okay. And so now the review is kind of looking at, the lower bid, but then just seeing if that really meets the need for each of the school's requests. And then did you say when that, a goal of when that would be decided? Is that?
We hope to have that our recommendation to purchasing wrapped up in the next few days here. And then purchasing, the city purchasing office has been very clear that they will need to confirm that it sort of meets a standard for their procurement process, because a low bidder could appeal the process and may, if they are thrown out and we go to the second low bidder. But we just need to make absolutely sure that we are on solid ground if we're going to do that.
And so the city could say, even if you had a recommendation that they didn't agree, is that a possibility?
We hope that doesn't go to that point.
Okay, but that's the next step. And then is the goal or hope to get the FFE into the buildings at a certain point? What is that time frame?
Yeah, it's as soon as we can reconcile the bid, then the purchasing department will issue a PO to the vendor, and then they will go ahead and put it right into their production schedule. My guess is, again, that there's usually 6 to 8 weeks for that, and then a scheduling of installation of when they would come and install the furniture itself. And so as soon as we sort of get through the decision of who the low bidder is and it's awarded, then that will ensue fairly quickly.
Okay. And then just my last question, I guess I'm thinking about, I know people on the team here know kind of the needs in each building, as I would just hope whatever can get to wherever the buildings have needs that are not met right now. So I don't know if that's part of the calculus and, say in this order, could we get that one completed for, do you guys feel that there's really a difference in our buildings of what the needs are for these?
Yeah, I think that so most of the calculus of what the greatest needs are went into the whole development. We met several times with them to understand where the greatest needs are, to make sure that we're fulfilling those within the budgets that we had. If there's the trickier question is going to be, can we expand beyond the scope of the bid to add additional items in? We did with Lyseth, and I would imagine there's a little bit of flexibility for us to add a few pieces if we need to with the selected vendor.
But that would be after kind of all of this is completed. We could go back to those question.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Great. Thank you so much.
Dave?
David, go ahead.
Just wanted to sort of reiterate a couple of points. The furnishings packages were developed specific to each school and what that school's needs were, and purchasing wanted to bid this as a complete package. So one vendor would be providing the furnishings for all three schools. Their thinking was that would create a competitive advantage and an economy of scale in the bidding, and we can see from the results that happened. So we should all be ecstatic that the bids are below the budget for each school and cumulatively. And even though on paper there is additional money available in the FF&E budgets for each school, currently in funding change orders and anything like that, I'm not looking at using any of that money. So we're trying to hold that in the extra money, if you will. We're trying to hold that in reserve so that hopefully we can look at a potential phase 2 with the furnishings if we need to.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Dave.
Yep.
Annie?
I was just wondering if I could hear a little bit more about the quality review that you would do, because the lowest bid is 111 for Reiki and we have 254 in our budget, and I just worry that we're not going to have value.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at the products. So, for instance, they submitted, we specified around a particular chair that we've known and used in the past in school environments, and it's sturdy and is held up. And then the low bidders has submitted a product that they're proposing, and we're confirming whether or not we think that is as sturdy as the one we have specified. And so we're going to do that with every item in the bid package to ensure that we're getting a quality product.
Okay. And then presumably all of these are under budget. So can you tell me again what happens with the money that we don't spend on furniture? Because we did a conservative, we're like, we're not going to get a lot here, so we shouldn't ask for the moon. And so now I'm like, should we have asked for the moon?
Yeah, well, and to David Lewis's point, so we're getting pretty darn close to knowing what all the costs are for all the projects, all the different line items, and we're nearly there with all of that. Any surplus that we have, which the furniture here could be considered as part of that, we can evaluate whether or not we go out with, if it's enough that to go out with another furniture bid package. We can do another round of evaluating priorities at each school and doing the same process to be able to procure additional furniture. Other questions? Okay.
So just if I can reiterate again, this is I know when you see bids that are so much less than what the budget was, it's a little worrisome about the quality, but we're gonna do our due diligence. Legally, we have to take the lowest bid unless it's not meeting our specifications. So we just don't have a lot of wiggle room there, but we're gonna do our best to ensure that we're getting high quality furniture. And then, the bottom line is this is great because we're gonna have more, my concern was that the bids were going to come in way over budget, and then we're kind of tapping out a lot of the other budget line items, and that's not the situation we're in. So we'll figure out which bid we're able to go with, hopefully in the next week, and then we might have another bite at the apple in terms of being able to order more furniture. So I know that. Just to summarize.
Well said. And so I think this is just a little bit more of kind of where we are with some of the unknowns and with the surpluses. But I think, Dave, your kind of right now evaluation is that we're kind of still just tabulating what those final numbers are in terms of the overall BFOF budget and where we stand. The good news is we have nearly completed construction with and able to accommodate some of these changes that we've encountered, including, for instance, that the concrete beam, which was a fairly sizable change. We were able to get the first tranche of furniture funded, and it looks like we'll have a little bit left over. So that's kind of the bottom line of where things are. We don't know exactly what those figures are, but that is all good news. We will complete the BFOF projects, and we will. I think the intent is to use all available funds wisely, but it looks like we're in good shape as we get to the final stretch here.
Yeah, well said. Just to sort of recap where we're at with contingency, the current change orders on the table for both Longfellow and Reiki are able to be funded from within the construction contingency that we had as of a couple of months ago. Presumpscot is a little more challenging because we reallocated funds from Presumpscot to the other schools a couple of times. But there are some surpluses within the Presumpscot budget for some line items that really aren't being used, like the advertising and legal and permitting and fees line items have unused, untapped funds that will be used to be able to be used to offset the additive change orders for hopefully for the windows and the drainage revisions. So good news. Our goal is to squeeze every penny out of the budget that we can.
And we're able to do that thanks to you, Dave. So
it's all Excel. Excel takes the credit for everything.
Appreciating all your work. Lori, and then Annie.
I have a question separate from furniture. We are still having lots of Wi-Fi issues and phone issues in the building. Will those things be corrected before the project is completely done? I mean, certain areas we're really struggling with Wi-Fi working.
Yeah, to the extent that there's scope that either right now isn't fully commissioned so that it's functioning the way we anticipate it to cover that, or if there's items. So, for instance, if it's coverage, the question is, whether or not there's additional devices that we can put to expand the coverage if it's not covering every area of it. And so again, that is part of remaining to keep a little bit of that contingency as we close out the construction of the project to make sure that these things are covered.
And Lori, how urgent is that? Are there major parts of the school where?
Yeah, so for example, testing in the fall around Laura's Graves room, which was the first part of the construction that was done, the third grade wing. We've had trouble with that since the very beginning. And Annie maybe knows better than I do, but there are still quite a few rooms that don't have phones at work, which is a safety issue. They have phones, they're plugged in, but there is no dial tone or anything. So it's still a safety issue in the building.
Yeah, although I know somebody was here working on phones today. So that might be, a work in progress that's known and getting worked on. But I do think that we've heard that when construction's complete, the internet should be better, but we just kind of don't really know how. So we might need to think about more routers or whatever it takes to amp up the internet. And then my question was just with furniture, when do we project that we would have the furniture in place?
So I guess a couple items. Tamara, you want to just address one item before I go into a little bit on the furniture, or?
I just wanted to talk about the phones real quick. When we had our construction meeting yesterday, I know there's one room that didn't have a port in it that we're still working on putting a port in. And that's the only one that Scott had mentioned that was still a problem. So if there's other phone issues, if you can send me an email or something so I can look into that. And the Wi-Fi, I was not aware of Wi-Fi issues, but I will check on that also.
Yeah, we've brought Greg in multiple times. He's tried to figure it out. We actually have to test in other rooms because it is such poor Wi-Fi. We use Lexia Core for ELA support, and that classroom can't do it. Laura can never have her whole class on Chromebooks at the same time. So yeah, I'll get some of that information to you.
Thank you.
The other, just a follow-up too, one of the things to just understand that the contractor is under a warranty period from the time that they complete the construction for a period of 1 year. And so if issues are coming up, we want to know what those are so that we can follow up with the contractor too within that 1 year warranty period. So that's
Mark, isn't it true that on top of that, I mean, while they're still in the building, the more we can identify problems and bring them to their attention, the better. So
absolutely.
Let's definitely take that opportunity while they're still actually in and around the building.
Absolutely. That's very helpful. Certainly we need to document them so that we can continue if it happens outside of that warranty period, but knowing about them while the contractor is on site is much easier for us to resolve them than in the future.
So do I send that to Tamara? You want me to send that? Okay, because I know quite a few rooms that we struggle when we test. Okay.
Yep, please.
Can I just jump in for a quick second? I'm sorry, I was having a technical issue and I couldn't put my hand up. But I know that Phil Dowdy, our IT director, has been in there and he has been trying to work with the subcontractor. And my understanding is that this is just an ongoing issue all the way through since I remember this back in August with getting the subcontractor to fix things. And our team thought things were done and in place, and it just still has never been fully corrected. So I think it's a mix of phone and, network issues. And it's not, I don't think it's like as I understand it, and I'm not good at technology stuff, but it's not a lack of equipment. It's that things that were supposed to have been done still are not working properly. And so I think it doesn't seem like it's our contractors, it's our subcontractors that continue to be the issue as I understand it.
Thanks, Sarah. And what we can do, again, we'll dig into this a little bit further, understanding where some of these significant issues are, and the general contractor will lean on the electrical or the technology subcontractor to get that resolved. Okay, and Annie, I don't know if it was you that had a question on the duration of the furniture. So typically what we see is 6 to 8 week lead time on furniture once the order is placed. And so assuming that the order gets, the award is made in the month of November, I would think that in January or February we'd see the installation of the furniture.
Sarah, did you still have your hand up, or is that up from earlier? Okay, let's move to Tamara.
I just want to speak to the furniture. Because of the volume of the furniture that's going to be getting delivered at all 3 schools, I think it's going to be critical that we do it over some kind of break. And even if the furniture might be ready in January, our team wouldn't be ready to accept that amount of furniture and switch that kind of stuff over. So we'll have to work with the schools and how the breaks are, fall. Hopefully, like winter break in February, we would have it by then to be able to do it.
Good point, Tamara.
Angie, you're muted.
Can you hear me now? No. Yes. No. Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. No. Yes. No. Yes. When we had our first off, I want to say thank you. Let me just start there. Like the fact that you're even considering changing out the windows. Like I just texted Emily for Hurley and was like, we might get new windows. So thank you. And the fact that we're all getting our furniture, that's absolutely amazing. And it's under. And I thought when we got our furniture delivered, the people who delivered it put it together. Is that right? That wasn't our people, was it?
No, you're right. Yes, you're right.
Okay, so like it doesn't like that. It doesn't really. I mean, well, I guess if you're doing, I guess there may be more. It may be more complicated than that. So,
well, it would be the fact of all the old furniture having to come out, right?
Oh, I see. So in the situations where there's old furniture, that could be an issue. But if they're situations where they're not old furniture, it's not an issue. Okay, cool, awesome, thanks.
Yeah, the bids for the furniture vendor include delivery and installation and setup. So that they are responsible for. But to Tamara's point, they're not responsible for removing all the old furniture.
Well, I'm ready. Anytime they want to bring it to me, I'm happy to get rid of the cafeteria tables for those circular tables any day of the week.
Okay, this is on record, Ange. Okay. All right, and so next steps here, we'll look to see if the next meeting would occur of this group in December, which I think we're saying we're going to move it to January at the earliest. So if we have, and we'll probably have an update with more fine-tuned figures in terms of where we are financially at that point, and just a little more update on some of the additional change orders for some of the items that we've been talking about. But we're also looking at doing ribbon cuttings as we get these projects completed too, which is that great part of celebrating what has been an incredible journey of projects going back long before Harriman ever got involved. But it's really rewarding to be at this point. There is an art show, we understand, for Longfellow on December 1st, and I think we're looking to see if perhaps that's a good time to conduct the ribbon cutting there. And so we're working on that. Emily, I don't know if you want to have any more to say on that, or...
I think we'll have more shortly. I don't know if Sarah wants to say anything, but I just want to encourage everyone on both of the committees to attend if you can. You've been such a huge part of moving these projects forward over many years. I hope that you will come and be part of the celebration. And then just to mention on the December meeting, it's right before the holiday break. So that's why we are opting not to hold that meeting. And clearly our work together is coming to an end. If there's a need to vote, we definitely will look to organize a meeting before January. But at this point, we don't see the need for that. Of course, if you want an update, definitely reach out and we'll update you on the latest. So just recognizing we're not trying to, January is a long time from now, but at the same time, that December meeting, just given that it's the third Thursday of the month, comes at a challenging time right near the holidays. Aura.
If we're finishing up, Mark, I don't know if there's anything else on the agenda, but I just want to say this is my last meeting of the district building committee because I'm finishing my term in a few weeks. So I just wanted to kind of reflect and thank all of the staff and Harriman and all of our community members and amazing building leaders. And just, it's been incredible to be able to be involved with this and Emily's leadership on this for many years. But to be involved with this for about 7 to 8 years and to get to see these projects almost to the absolute end. So I'll definitely be following as a parent and community member going forward, but just wanted to thank everyone for all their work and just really exciting to be where we are tonight. So thanks, everybody.
Well, thank you so much, Aura. And definitely when we get to the Presumpscot ribbon cutting, which as you know, delayed because
Yes.
of the floor issue, you will definitely have to be a big part of that event.
I would love that. And I'll be at Longfellow too. Super exciting. So thanks, everybody.
So, Emily, thank you for your leadership. And it sounds like you need to take a break and get better.
I'm sorry for I just have a bad cold. So thanks for dealing with hearing my nasally congestion. All right. So anything else, Mark? You were all set?
Yeah, just I know we had going back to the minutes. If I don't know if there's enough to transact that review of the
Yes,
minutes.
we do not have quorum for the minutes, nor have we for our last few meetings, and I think we'll just leave it at that. And I will do some more targeted outreach prior to our next meeting in order to get approval on some of our past minutes. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate all of your work and coming tonight. And again, since we're not meeting in December, if you do want an update, please just shoot one of us email. You can definitely send it to me, one of our staff, and I'll be very happy to get you an update. And so with that, we can adjourn for the night. Thank you again. Have a great long weekend and appreciate everyone's time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Good night.